Conditional statements allow you to execute certain blocks of code based on whether a specified condition is true or false. So we have if statement, else statement that basically comes with if statement, and then you can have a combination of all three, if, else, and elif, in the most comprehensive version of the if statement. Here's an example of a simple if statement. Right, so if the syntax is if, then the code evaluates the condition coming in front of the if statement. Then you have the colon, and then you have the set of commands or just one command that will be executed if the condition is true. Then in a more comprehensive version where you have if, elif, and else, the program checks the condition in front of if that's true, and pay attention to syntax, the colon there. It executes the command after the conditional, after the if statement, if the condition is true. If this is not true, the program will check the condition in front of elif statement, and it executes the set of commands or just the command coming after that, if the condition is true. And if none of these two is true, right, not correct, or let's say true, if both of these were false, then we would have this statement, print x is less than 5, as the output, since else catches whatever that doesn't go through either of if and elif. Now keep in mind that you can have more than one elif. You can have one if and then 1, 2, 3, maybe as many as you want elif, and every elif checks a certain condition, and then eventually you can have an else to catch all, whatever that none of those elifs can catch, or better to say, whatever input for which none of those conditions in front of, let's say, or your 2, 3, 10 elifs returns true as the value for that condition. Then we have nested condition statements and conditional expressions. Let's go to our VS Code environment and take a look at a couple of examples. Right? Let's start with something very simple, and let's actually do a little bit of functional programming. So I'm going to define this function is positive, which basically checks whether a number is positive or not. And if the number is positive, it will return this string as the output. Right? So if I run that, then I'll get the number is positive since 5 is greater than 0. In a little more interesting way, let's say, and with this I want to also cover something that we did not get to talk about when we were talking about functions, and that's the case where function can have multiple return statement. Remember, we said a function can return something, can return nothing, which would be basically none or null value from Python's perspective, but the function can also have multiple return statements. So in this case, this function check number takes a number, it checks whether the number is greater than 0. If it is, it returns this string that's positive, and then it's done. If that's not the case, it will return not positive. So a function can have multiple return statements, but keep in mind that once it hits the first return, that would be the output of the function, and it doesn't go further than that. So for instance, in this case, if I check this function with the input number -3 and run that, right, and then this tells me this is not positive, obviously. So it checks the number, this condition is not true, so it returns not positive. If this one was 3, then the output would have been positive. So just keep that in mind. You can have as many return as you want in a specific in a given function as long as you remember that once you hit the first return, it's not gonna hit the returns after that.